Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, Shafer Ward.
Hello, Dad. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome, son. Happy to have you. I was talking about this before we got on the air, but this is the like loose, low energy Shafer.
Yeah, this is the low energy Shafer that you get when the podcast is recorded upstairs from your Airbnb.
It's convenient, right?
Yeah, I've never had to go to a comedy gig of any sort where I didn't have to put on shoes. This is great.
Yeah.
This is my preferred. I'm only going to do gigs in my building now.
Yes, that's a good move. You know, you don't even have to flyer for it. Just put something up and slide them under people's doors, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, I might even like it's opening all sorts of doors for me. I might even just give up comedy. I might just only do things in my apartment from now on.
Just only be an apartment guy.
Yeah, it might be the only people I talk to. Might be the only activities I do. I might not even take out the trash because that's outside. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's real nice not having to put on shoes or glasses or anything. This is the life. I see why bums do it. Let's do it.
How bad is your eyesight?
It's
by
not
the way,
bad.
Can you see me okay right now from across this table?
Yeah, no, I can definitely do that. It's more just like I was becoming a bad student in school, so they gave me glasses, and then they gave me glasses, and they're like, "Oh no, he's just dumb." So I can see pretty well.
Gotcha. I am super blind. I'm if I can see you,
God,
okay.
let's see.
But take a look. Take a look.
Holy, oh my God, I can see the future. These are insane.
They're we got to get the high index lenses in those.
Oh my God.
That's because my prescription's so bad that the glasses would normally be too thick for me to wear effectively. So they had to make special lenses for blind folks like me.
Oh my God, I feel like my body's being lulled to sleep just by the fact that my eyes are working so hard.
It's
That's insane.
It's intense, but that's what I live. Now I see. Now everything looks just normal.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, let's get into the movies. This is not a glasses-centric podcast, unless Warby Parker wants to sponsor me. Warby Parker, are you listening? I'm wearing your glasses right now. I don't know why I'm looking at the recorders if Warby Parker himself is inside of the recorder.
Use the passcode JLIGHT to get 10% off of Warby Parker glasses at www.glasses.com.
Yeah, I don't. You know, just try it out. See if it works.
Yeah.
And if it does, then I'll go beat down the door of my local Warby Parker and get some kickbacks.
Yeah,
or get them to fix my frames.
Use the passcode Blockbusting at www.pornhub.com to get 90% off of all eyewear and eye fashion.
Mm-hmm. Pornhub, the ultimate eyewear fashion store.
Don't see without them.
Now, speaking of things that you don't see what the fuss is about, look at my transitions.
Oh, you're a master.
Ghostbusters.
Yes.
The original from 1984.
Yes.
This is what you've come to talk about today.
Yes.
And it's you hate.
Yes. With a passion.
Oh, man. This is Edinburgh's had a lot of really interesting takes, and yours is no exception. This is one that I have not.
Am I unique in this?
I feel like I've heard a couple other people who think Ghostbusters is overrated.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee I know a couple people in LA who think it's overrated, but I can't think of anybody who has been willing to talk about it on the show before. And this is like 150 something episodes deep. So
do you think this is bad for me?
No.
Do you think this is bad for my career?
No, absolutely not.
Do you think I'll get a bunch of shitty comedians that'll be like, well, Shafer's not worth working for, you know?
I mean, I certainly hope not, because this your people are entitled to their opinions, and if you think Ghostbusters is shitty, why? That's what I'm here for, you know?
I want it to be good.
Of course. I mean, who doesn't want a movie to be good?
Exactly.
What's your beef with Ghostbusters? Lay it out. Lay out your case.
Oh boy. Here's my just general theory is that typically a joke will expire in around 7 years, right? Like comedy just sort of is very relevant to its moment. It's very silly. It's very live. It's very fun. And oftentimes when a joke is told, it's because it sort of satisfies this comedic need that people had. And then that need's filled. It's like eating a sandwich. It's like, now I'm not hungry anymore. You know? I think Ghostbusters came out and I think it was very silly and fun in its time. But I think we sort of expect Ghostbusters to hold up this sort of like, it's a classic. It'll make generations of my kids laugh. And I just don't think that it's going to ever be capable of doing that. I think it's changed as what a kind of a movie it is over the years.
That's interesting. That's a pretty lofty take.
Yeah, I don't know, and I think that other movies fall prey to this, but I think specifically Ghostbusters, I think we talk about it as a comedic classic, and I think it deserves the respect of that. But as far as like, if I'm going to put it on, I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to laugh twice, I think.
What are the two parts that you laugh at?
I think I'm going to laugh when Rick Moranis is on screen for like that 3 minutes of the film.
Right.
I think he is brilliant in it, and that holds up. Just him just sort of goofing off in the hallway. Then I think I'm gonna laugh when it's over because I just wasted 2 hours.
Yeah. I forget that this movie is almost 2 hours long. 105 minutes. Woof. So if you haven't caught up with it, we are talking about the original Ghostbusters, not Ghostbusters Answer the Call, not the Ghostbusters movie that has not been released yet that Jason Reitman is working on. Shout out, Jason.
New Ghostbusters is cool. It's Babe City. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That's what we all wanted. Some chicks fighting ghosts. Yeah. Chicks taking ectoplasm to the face. Spear, beer, beer, beer. That's the weakest air horn sound effect I think I've ever done.
Well, it is noon.
Beer, 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 beer. That's a
People
bike
are
horn.
sleeping.
Ghostbusters, the original, the 1984 American fantasy comedy film directed by Ivan Reitman, written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. Stars Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, as a group of eccentric parapsychologists who started ghost catching business in New York City. Also got Sigourney Weaver, Rick Moranis, and features Annie Potts, William Atherton, and Ernie Hudson.
Oh, your intern is so good. That was some banging research.
That's Wikipedia for you. Wikipedia is the best intern there is.
And you paid it just as much as you would a regular intern.
Yeah. So Ghostbusters, it is really like not a movie that I watch and laugh at. It's a movie that I feel, it's definitely a nostalgia movie, you know? Like it's a movie that I think for a lot of people brings up a lot of memories about the first time that they watched the movie and how they felt. You know, I remember, I think it was probably, God, I had to have been pretty young when I watched this movie for the first time.
How old are you? 48?
Yeah, I'm 48. I just turned 48. No, I'm 29.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I saw this. Is this PG or PG-13? That part, I don't know.
I don't think they had PG-13 at the time. I think PG-13 is sort of as old as I am.
Oh yeah, because this is pre-Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. They came out the same year, and that was one of the movies.
Was that the first PG-13 movie?
No, that was one of the movies that people were like, we have to start rating things PG-13 now because of the heart getting ripped out scene.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact, it'll deviate a little bit, but I, on 2 first dates to the movies, have been carded.
Really?
Yeah.
Recently?
And yeah. No, my 2 most recent movie first dates, I've been carded. And it's totally ruined the dates.
Oh, God.
Yeah, and she is not. They've just assumed she was my babysitter or something.
Wow. Did you have the beard at the time?
No, I didn't have all 9 of these facial hairs on my face.
I mean, I will say, as someone who can grow facial hair with about the same like thickness as you can, I appreciate that at least yours comes in full on both sides.
It's coming in gray. Look at these. Do you see these
Maybe
gray
that's just the
hairs
stress.
coming out? I went from looking 12 to looking 42. I don't get my 20s or 30s.
No, dude. You just went straight. You just skipped straight ahead. You're an old soul.
Oh my God.
You're already shoeless in an apartment complex, just puttering around.
I went from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer straight to Santa Claus. It's not fun.
Maybe, you're sort of midway through. You're like, what was the name of the elf in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? That wanted to be a dentist. Herbie? Rocky?
I don't remember. The one that wanted to be a dentist.
Herbie, the elf?
Herbert, Pervy the elf.
Pervy.
I don't remember what.
But he's, you're that guy.
I just want to be a dentist.
Yeah, you're midway through. You're figuring out. You're just like, well, you're already so jaded on making toys.
Oh, you better believe it. I'm done. I'm at a sweatshop's level of frustration with these toys.
And there's no upward mobility. That's a real downside to like the whole Santa Claus Incorporated enterprise.
Oh yeah,
no upward mobility.
It's a capitalist dreamboat, but capitalism as it actually works.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Late stage capitalism.
Late stage capitalism.
Santa's workshop thrives on late stage capitalism.
God, I'd like to lead an elf revolt. Or not, I meant a union. Let's just, this part will be edited out. J Light, 10% on all glasses.
And if you
at google.com.
If you put in the code elf revolt, if you put in UAW elf division at your checkout. So, all right, Ghostbusters nominated for 2 Academy Awards.
Was it really?
It was.
What awards?
Best Original Song for Ghostbusters.
That I wholeheartedly agree with.
And Best Visual Effects for John Bruno, Richard Edlund, Chuck Gasper, and Mark Vargo.
Okay.
Now, it lost all of those. And it also was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy at the Golden Globes. Bill Murray got nominated for Best Actor at the Golden Globes. And Ghostbusters was nominated for Best Original Song at the Golden Globes. Lost all of those as well.
That's a shame.
A lot of people really like this movie. It's, like I said, it's a nostalgia classic. I watched it when I was a kid. I think a lot of people, I don't know if I watched it with my dad, but it feels like a movie that I watched with my dad,
Sure.
Like it's one of those, you show it off to your child and you're like, yeah, this is the kind of stuff I watched when I was growing up. And it has a very long Wikipedia page because Ghostbusters fans are apparently rabid.
Yes.
As we learned when Ghostbusters Answer the Call came out and everybody freaked the fuck out.
This is why I'm saying this on a podcast and not like at a party.
Right.
Yeah.
So the movie was critically acclaimed and became a cultural phenomenon. Earned $28.2 million. Sorry, hold on. $282.2 million.
That sounds way more impressive.
It was
that's in what, 84?
85. No, 84. Wow. Yes, 84.
That's what I call trickle down economics, huh?
Hey.
I don't know what that means.
It's officially been selected for preservation in the National Film Registry.
Oh, thank God.
As being historically, culturally, or aesthetically significant. Now, this movie, you don't think deserves any of these accolades?
I don't know, like put it in the Library of Congress. I don't care, but it'll be kind of funny when like in 150 years when like America's underwater and people like find the records and they're like, what were people like? And they throw on Ghostbusters. I don't know. I think like I said, I was not a Reagan era American.
Child,
I was not alive then. I don't know what was coming out. And I think a lot of hacky shit was coming out in like the early 80s. And I think like, you know what I mean? So I think it was kind of relevant to like produce this sort of really silly thing at the time. I just like, I watched it for the first time when I was probably in my teens.
Okay.
So this, let's see.
And you didn't see it in theaters, obviously. It was not doing the re-releasing in theaters thing was not as trendy as it is now.
Exactly. I'm 24 years old, and you can take that two ways. One, you could say, "Oh well, I just don't get it." You could throw away my opinion, and the other way you could take it is that I sort of have fresh eyes on this. So I was probably a teenager. Just like think the 2010s, you know, like that whole decade, the beginning of it, I was a teenager and now I'm just depressed. So,
right.
I saw this movie and I was so excited. I was like, okay, time to watch Ghostbusters. We're going to knock something off the bucket list. And you get through that first scene where Bill Murray is like doing the test. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, surely this can't be the movie. Like, we were just like, I felt like the jokes were always going to revert back to just common truths that we established the whole time. Like, Bill Murray's a womanizer.
Right.
We got Dan Aykroyd's like goofy and lonely.
Raimi, yeah, he's basically just a goofy, lonely guy.
Yeah, and Harold
then
Ramis
Egon.
is just sort of the straight man of it.
He's an egghead. He's a real. He knows a lot of things.
Yeah.
He's got a whole bunch of weird knowledge.
But I remember my takeaway from it is like I would watch it and it'd be like, I kind of can't place the joke. Like if you told me, okay, identify the setups, identify the punchlines, identify this and that, I kind of don't know where it is. It's just like they're going, and then all of a sudden they're fighting ghosts. And I'm like, have we hit the comedy of it yet? Like I really like I feel so dumb as someone who like went into comedy. I'm like, why don't I find this movie funny?
I think it's a movie that's made that it's based more around like the comedy of character interaction and of like comedic set pieces more than hard and fast jokes. Like obviously you got Bill Murray in there, and Bill Murray's just the, driest man alive, and he's going to be throwing out lines that are not necessarily going to read as funny on the page perhaps, but Bill Murray saying those lines makes them funny. Because that's what that's the magic. That's the magic of Bill Murray, theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically.
And then you have people getting slimed, and that's slime is wacky.
Yeah. Oh no, it's a regular Kids' Choice Awards. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah,
yeah, for sure.
Same with seeing a giant marshmallow man fighting. That's wacky, guys. Super wacky.
I was just like, I hit that point in the movie, honestly, and I was like, okay, so this is a product of its time. Like this is a joke that can't, like the movie climaxes against this joke that's very dated in its time. But the
Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Yeah. I don't know. It feels very much like it's relevant for its time, as like all these sci-fi movies were coming out.
Right.
And it just like I really like, okay, the set pieces of the joke. All right, did you see that car come up and be like, that's comedy? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, some people did though. Some people look at a hearse that got turned into a ghost hunting machine, and they're like, wow, now that's I would never think about that. That's silly.
Yeah.
Ghostbusters is one of those movies that I the last time I watched it, I was myself taken aback at how little I laughed during the movie.
Yes.
And I don't know if it was because I've been become a harsher critic of movies over the course of like doing the show, and I don't even think I watched it over the course of doing the show at all. But it's just one of those things that I was watching it and I was definitely like smiling. I would have been. It's like the kind of thing where it would have made me a bad audience member at a stand-up show, where I was just kind of like smiling and like, yeah, but I wasn't laughing at anything. And I would have gotten like, if it were me.
So we're in agreement,
right? I think we are, but that's the thing. I don't think it's like. Do you think it's like bad? Like, do you think it's not a good movie?
Yes. Well, okay, hold on.
See,
that's difficult.
Yeah, that's the real trick of this.
I think it is in that, I don't know, it sets out for a specific thesis, which is to make me laugh, and I think it fails on that thesis. Do I think it's unentertaining? I don't know. It's silly. There's obviously the song's a banger.
Total banger. I mean, I use a version of it as the theme for this podcast.
Yeah. Although I will say, like, if I hear that song out, I'll go nuts. But if I hear that song on the TV, I'll be like, fuck, Ghostbusters is turning on, and I'll fucking change it. Like, it's a totally radical change of emotions there. I don't know, but like, well, I'll throw the question to you.
Okay.
You're seeing a stand-up comic and you haven't laughed in 10 minutes. Are you like, is this a bad comic? Or are you like, oh, I'm just sort of mildly enjoying this?
I don't know. I feel like if I see a comic for 10 minutes and I don't laugh, I want to walk.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's hard to judge. Obviously, we can't judge all comedy on the same scale, right?
Yeah.
Like Ghostbusters for me is a movie that if I hear the Ghostbusters theme, I'll sit and watch it. I'll watch
You'll
the movie.
sit and watch Ghostbusters
Because
just by knowing it's on.
Because Ghostbusters I talked about this, I think, actually, yeah, just on the last episode I recorded. Ghostbusters is like the perfect basic cable, like, afternoon movie, right? Where, like, it's totally, you can tune in. You don't have to really worry about, like, paying attention to notice what's going on. It's Ghostbusters. They're busting ghosts, okay? And it's bright at parts and it's dark at parts, and there's Bill Murray cracking wise and Dan Aykroyd trying his best and Rick Moranis being horny and trying to fuck
Rick
Sigourney Weaver.
is funny in that movie. That Rick Moranis is the one element of that movie that did make me laugh a lot when I watched it, because I just think he's when you put him in that character, like that sort of thing, and you use him for that, like he's such a Seymour Krelborn, you know, like he's such a
he really is.
Yeah,
he just embodies. That's what I loved about Rick Moranis the most, is he embodies his people. I know he's not acting anymore. He's retired.
Did I read somewhere he might come back? Can you Google that?
Yeah, actually, I did. I read that as well. I think
because that'd be awesome. I'd love to see Rick Moranis come back and like.
Let's see. The last movie he did was Disney's Brother Bear for 2003. Perfect. Is he coming back? He's going to join the Second City TV reunion documentary. He returned as the character Dark Helmet in an episode of The Goldbergs. He made it. He's just become selective about future roles. That's what he said, because they offered him a cameo in the last Ghostbusters, and he said, I'm going to hold off.
That's interesting.
I'm going to wait.
So even he's like, yeah, not worth it.
Well, he wants to be very selective.
Very true.
Very selective, you know?
That's because his wife died, right? That's why he retired?
Yes. Yeah. His wife died, so he wanted to take care of his sons. Like a good man.
He should come back. That'd be cool.
I hope he does.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if he does, it's going to be super under wraps and nobody's going to find out about it.
Put the kids on TikTok. Something, I don't know. That was hacky.
Honey, I uploaded the kids.
120% off of mattresses.
This is a movie where there's a ton of it boggles my mind reading this Wikipedia page and how deep people have gone in on this movie. Like,
yeah, people are nuts about it.
It's got so many sections. It received a 3.5-star review from Roger Ebert.
Nice.
This is a good old Roger Ebert quotes. A rare example of successfully combining a special effects blockbuster with sly dialogue. Not funny.
My Edinburgh Fringe show just got 3 stars, so I just want to point it out that I have only a half star less than the comedy classic Ghostbusters.
And I would say you probably lost a star from that reviewer because they were very upset that there was how come there was nobody bashing Donald Trump on the show about that says escaping Trump's America.
Our show is called Trump Busters. We dress up in giant ridiculous outfits and we suck Trump cutouts through like ghost machines.
5 stars. That show, you do that. Let's bring that next year, and then let's bring shaving a horse.
My favorite blurb. It gets old after 2 minutes just standing at a cutout with a ghost machine.
Have you've seen all these posters around, just to go on another tangent, all of the Trump related shows that are here at Fringe, right?
Yeah. And the Brexit related shows.
Yes.
Of course. Yeah.
I have no desire to see any of these shows. Do you have any desire? What kind of people do you think go and see these shows?
Because I think that, like, I don't know, we're talking about how Ghostbusters is sort of a staple of its time. I think these times are fucked, you know? And I think especially here, it's interesting that we're in the UK because they're going through their own sort of nationalist, whirlwind where Brexit is happening and no one knows what's going on, and like the country might go to shit. And everyone's very tense about like these big brash leaders not really understanding why they can't do what they want to do and not caring because they sort of have their own agendas.
Right.
And I'm curious what people come up with. I think the good art reflects its time.
Well, that's the real question is, we can't know until we see any of those shows, but is it good art?
Oh, those shows? I think some of them are probably shit, but some of them are good, I'm sure. I think the ones that come from an earnest place of genuinely worrying, like, oh, fuck, if we no deal Brexit, then all this is going to be monopoly money. Like, what are we going to do?
Well, that's probably part of the problem with movies that came out in the 80s is that came out in a prosperous time and everybody was just like, Reagan, yeah, sweet. He's cool. He's doing his thing. We got a movie star in the White House. Let's just have a fun time watching some movies.
Yeah, everyone was just so swept up with how much they loved Reagan.
I know. Reagan
noticed this movie sucks.
Fucking landslide king over here. So what else do we got? He cited, let's see, Roger Ebert says it was a rare mainstream film with many quotable lines. This is clearly before the age of like quippy action movies. I don't know.
What quotable lines?
Are you the keymaster? That's the only line I can think of from Ghostbusters. Or I just got slimed.
What line from Ghostbusters do you throw out to your friends and like you all have it like you crack up?
Right. Unless Ghostbusters was like the Anchorman of the 80s and we just didn't know because we weren't around in the 80s.
In what capacity?
Well, did you not... You've been around for Anchorman. You saw Anchorman in theaters, surely.
Yeah.
Anchorman was the kind of movie that like...
You act like you were there in the 80s and I'm not. Like, you're 5 years old.
No, I'm only 5 years older than you. But there's clearly like... I remember watching not Ghostbusters, Anchorman, and people, it's one of those movies that people are like, oh, I love Lamp, and they all say lines from the movie all the time. But how did you get a trident?
That movie's very quippy. I feel like this movie's very... like situational and like, time to fight a ghost, and then like you watch them do it.
But maybe that's what quippy was at the time.
Oh God,
maybe people just had no concept of like what comedy could have really been.
A fuck decade.
The 80s really were.
It was a net loss, I think, for humanity. The 80s.
I feel like a lot of people are just like railing coke and going to see Ghostbusters and being like, yes, that's a great business idea. Hey, let's also start a ghost hunting business.
Yeah.
What else happened in this movie?
Can I ask you for sorry, I'm going to hijack your format a little bit.
Yeah.
Could you find me a bad review of Ghostbusters from the 80s?
I'm looking through some reviews.
I'm curious what like people that didn't like Ghostbusters in the 80s said about it.
So this is the beauty of the sections on Wikipedia is that they always put the contrarian reviews at the end of the reviews section.
Cool. Yeah, I want to know what people said at the time.
Janet Maslin, who is a critic.
Bring me home, Janet.
Janet was a critic for the New York Times back in the day. Said that Murray's talents were in service to a film lacking wit or coherence. She noted that many of the characters had little to do, leaving their stories unresolved as the plot began to give way to servicing the special effects instead.
Yes.
For Maslin, Ghostbusters worked during the small ghost catching scenes, but went out of hand during the apocalyptic finale.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, she's right.
It's a pretty stressful finale for a comedy, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
and not a particularly funny one either. I'm a big believer that if you're doing a comedy, the climax of your film has to go one of two ways. One, it needs to be fucking dark and kind of heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. Like it needs to sort of touch on those elements that we're very safe about when we're trying to laugh, or it's got to be super funny.
Right
there, I feel like we delve into that zone that like movies sometimes are wont to do, where it's just like we're gonna make this as big as possible, and then you're kind of like, well, but then what are we doing? Like,
right?
What are we watching here?
That's the thing. It's like I as I think about this, and I really like this review. I can't imagine watching Ghostbusters in the theater if I was a kid in the 80s, watching Ghostbusters and seeing the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, become the final villain, the final monster of the movie, and like crack up at that. I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah, I struggle to think like, okay, yeah, it's a product of its time. But even in its time, like there's certain things where I'm like, really? That was where we were comedically and look, I'm in no position as like a 24-year-old semi-shitty comedian to go out. No, I'm pretty good. Check out my work.
You're pretty good.
To go and to just lambast Ghostbusters, having never written a successful film in my life, but like, I don't know. It bothers me because I almost, when you don't like something that everyone loves and you almost feel like you're broken a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Like I watch Ghostbusters and I'm like, am I a shitty comic? Am I not funny? Do I just not understand like pure classic comedy?
Nah, you just got different tastes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. Here's the thing. If you were making comedy that was like Ghostbusters, if you were doing the thing,
Could you imagine?
right? If you were doing the stand-up thing that, like, the analogy from earlier, if you were being a stand-up comic and you were on stage for 10 minutes and you weren't doing anything that I laughed at, maybe you're doing like. Then at that point, like, I think the equivalent to Ghostbusters is like, at that point, you're not a comedian. You're like a magician. Like, you're doing some tricks, and I'm like, ooh, ah. And maybe you have some lines that are in your patter that are just like, something about me being a virgin or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever magicians say. I've been out of the magician loop for about a decade and a half now, so I don't know anymore. But that's what Ghostbusters feels like. Ghostbusters feels like a trick that's been pulled on all of us collectively.
Yeah.
And it's totally fine. Like, I don't think it's a bad movie, but it's definitely not the bar. It might have raised the bar for what you could do with a comedy, but the bar has been cleared so many times and reset so many times that Ghostbusters feels like a relic.
I can't imagine watching this with like the biggest Ghostbusters fan and then watching them laugh for 2 hours straight. I wouldn't know the beats. I wouldn't know the moments. Like, I wouldn't know, like, it'd be kind of odd. I would feel like I was in sort of a bizarre world if these people were. And like, look, if you like the movie, good on you. And hey, try to convert me. Like, I really do I don't want to dislike movies. You know what I mean? Especially classics that like people will get, mad about.
Right.
But
there's, you know what's crazy to me is how much people analyze this movie over the years. There's a whole thematic analysis section to this movie on Wikipedia.
Okay.
Ghostbusters has been analyzed as an era-appropriate example of Republican or libertarian ideology.
Oh my God.
Analysts point to the film's premise of a small private business that is obstructed by an arrogant, incompetent bureaucrat from a government agency, excuse me. It is only through this interference that the Ghostbusters Ghost Containment Unit is compromised, unleashing spirits upon the city and triggering Gozer's arrival. Oh, they even said triggering back in the day. Here we go. The Washington Examiner notes that it is the private sector that continues to combat the increasing supernatural activity in New York, while the government is incapable of doing anything. Ghostbusters, secretly a Republican movie all along. The mayor, a government representative, is motivated to release the Ghostbusters to defeat the godly threat after being reminded that their success will save the lives of millions of registered voters. A cynical view of an official who is motivated mainly by what will allow him to retain his position. Now, they said this is intentional, of course. Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman both have said that.
It has Republican leanings?
Yes. Reitman in particular considers himself a conservative / libertarian. So they're very much in this deliberately doing this.
Fascinating. This podcast just got 3 hours longer. So, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Like we were talking about products of its time. Like, I feel like at the time there was very much this like pull yourself up from the bootstraps kind of attitude in the country. Like we said, like Reagan was president.
Right.
There was just this sort of like, yeah, you're a small business owner. Good on you. You pay as few taxes as possible. You support yourself. You create it. We're going to get out of your way. I don't know. And I find that that's like a thread with like older comedy writers like that for whatever reason. That made me remember the Simpsons movie. You remember going to see the Simpsons movie?
I did not see the Simpsons movie.
You did not?
I'm not a Simpsons guy.
I loved the Simpsons movie when I think I saw it in theaters, which is crazy. I wasn't really much of a Simpsons nut growing up. Like, I wasn't watching it every day. But
okay,
the bad guys in the Simpsons movie are the EPA because they put like regulations on Springfield because Homer's polluted the lake.
Homer. You wacky boy.
And I remember watching it being like, that's a very like old guy gripe thing to like, I don't know, you know? Mm-hmm. That's fascinating. So it's a conservative movie. I feel like I'm bolstering my case.
Well, that's the thing is like, it's clear. It's like I said, it's clearly had a cultural impact. It clearly set a bar, and it's still looked back on as oh my God. Rotten Tomatoes has a 97% approval rating.
Got to be 96.
It's been ranked Ghostbusters. It was ranked on National Review, ranked Ghostbusters number 10 on its list of the 25 best conservative movies of the last 25 years.
Perfect.
I mean, this is.
I didn't like this movie before I had this angle, and now I feel like a lot is making sense here.
Oh my goodness! It's considered one of the best films of the
What's the number one
80s.
conservative movie of all time?
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Let's watch it. Let's watch it. It's like Birth of a Nation.
Probably. Let's see. All right, the best conservative movies, courtesy of National Review.
Oh, I learned to love the bomb.
The conservatives are getting better at comedy, and we're all here scared for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're killing it over here.
Number 1, The Lives of Others.
The fuck is that?
It is a movie about. Oh God.
The number one conservative movie of all time is a movie we have no idea what it is.
It's chronicles life under a totalitarian regime as the Stasi secretly monitors the activities of a playwright who's suspected of harboring doubts about communism.
Gotcha.
Number 2 top conservative movie of all time. You're never gonna guess.
Can I ask for hints?
I'll give you 3 hints. You can ask 3 yes or no questions.
Was this movie released in my lifetime?
Yes.
Is this movie a comedy?
Yes.
Oh God. I got to make this last question count.
Yeah, you do.
It's from 1995 on, and it's supposedly funny.
I mean, I think this movie's funny.
Do they have to? Oh, I'm sure it probably is. Does it have to be a yes or no question?
I'll allow a third that's not a yes or no question.
Okay. Don't answer this if it will give it away. Can you give me the lead of this movie?
Craig T. Nelson.
The Incredibles.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. The Incredibles? Ranked by National Review as the number 2 conservative movie of all time.
What?
This is great. This is wild.
Yeah, please.
This animated film skips pop culture references and gross jokes in favor of a story that celebrates marriage, courage, responsibility, and high achievement. This is wild. That's it. That's why it's conservative.
Their argument?
That's their argument.
Oh my God! I wonder what the people at Pixar.
Oh no! Wait.
About that.
Here we go. This is the snowflakey portion of the review. Thanks to a society that doesn't appreciate their unique talents, then it comes to need them. In one scene, son, Dash, a super speedy runner, wants to try out for track. Mom claims it wouldn't be fair. Dad says our powers make us special, Dash objects. Everyone is special, Mom demurs, to which Dash mutters, which means nobody is.
Oh, so they're like, oh, Dash is like a mini Ayn Rand. Huh?
Yep, exactly. You guys we can't handle our talents.
It's basically the Fountainhead.
Wow, this is what an avenue we found in this thing. This is crazy.
Wait, give me more movies. Sorry, we're gonna do this for like a minute.
Okay,
more, and then
let's get back.
I won't hijack your podcast anymore. But I'm just curious what the other movies are.
Number 3 is Metropolitan.
Okay.
Number 4 is Forrest Gump. Number 5, this is a total non-surprise, is 300.
Okay. This is Sparta.
Wait a minute. During the Bush years, Hollywood neglected the heroism of American soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan.
No way.
But it did release the action film about martial honor, unflinching courage, and the oft-ignored truth that freedom isn't free. Also,
wait, people went to see 300 and were like, yeah, supporting some troops.
The people, yeah, I'm supporting the troops.
Not enough movies about our troops, so I'm supporting others.
By the way, if you guys at National Review don't have Transformers on this list, which is perhaps the greatest political propaganda movie of the past 20 years, then you guys have completely missed the boat.
That's
National
a whole
Review
podcast.
Let's see. Oh, I already did that podcast. Don't you worry.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, that was an early episode. That movie, I forgot how that movie splits from being like a fun, wacky comedy with Shia LaBeouf and robots, and then also, we got to fight these fucking terrorists.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day, number 6. The Pursuit of Happiness, number 7.
Bill Murray's he's crushing it. Juno,
number 8. Let's see.
They call Juno a conservative movie?
Yeah.
I guess she doesn't pull the plug on it, does she?
Yeah, they said it's a pro-life movie.
Interesting.
They also...
I'm sure Ellen Page loves that.
Let's see. Number 9, Blast from the Past. Number 10, Ghostbusters. Number 11, Lord of the Rings. Number 12, The Dark Knight. Wow.
Interesting.
Wow.
What's their thesis?
Oh, here we go. This film gives us a portrait of the hero as a man reviled. In his fight against the terrorist Joker, Batman has to devise new means of surveillance.
Any bad guy in a... Never mind, keep going.
I do like that that a conservative media outlet finally called a white guy a terrorist. Good job.
Yeah, that's good.
Batman has to devise new means of surveillance, push the limits of the law, and accept the hatred of the press and public. If that sounds reminiscent of a former president...
They love it because for the same reason they love the Patriot Act. They love that scene where they spy on all the...
Yep.
Oh, my...
They basically were like, Batman is George W. Bush. George W. Bush is the Batman. He is the Dark Knight.
That's great. Well, if they were true conservatives, they'd be more mad at that than me because that's like defies everything that like civil liberties stand to gain. Like Morgan Freeman's like, we can't do this. People have their rights to their own phones and their own everything.
Oh my God, this list is so long. We can't watch all of it.
Of course.
I can't read all of it, but my God.
But was this not
this was
good little lane to go down? Sorry, I hijacked it a little.
No. That's what I love about We Go Down Lanes.
Oh my God.
Okay, so you hate Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Closing thought. Will you see Ghostbusters 2020 when it comes out?
No.
Okay. I'll see it.
It's so hard to get me to go to the movies just because it's so expensive now. I'm going to pick and choose what movies I go to. That's definitely, I don't know. I have respect for I have respect for how much people like it. I don't want to, I'm not going to make it my life mission to like, if you like Ghostbusters, you don't talk to me.
Get
That's
out
fine.
of my face.
Hey, get out of town. No, you're allowed to like Ghostbusters. It makes me sad when everyone heralds something as something super funny and I just can't laugh at it. I feel like part of me is broken, part of me is just not as silly or whatever. And it's just easier for me to resort to the very possible notion that it's just not that funny of a movie. And we look at it as a comedic tale where I almost would appreciate it more as like a B-list sci-fi movie.
Oh, that was some Roger Corman kind of shit.
Yeah, I could almost get on board with it more in that capacity. And if you look at the awards that it was up for, kind of supports that.
That would be fascinating.
You know what I mean? But
yeah.
But as a comedy, I just like it, to keep trying to force myself to like it. I think is antithetical to what comedy should be, which is just to find the things that make you laugh and to go for it. And it just doesn't make me laugh. So,
yeah, well, there you
at
go.
the end of the day, it boils down to that.
I'm intrigued. I will go see the new movie because I like Jason Reitman as a director, and I am intrigued because I think he might do the thing in comedies that you even said that hopes happens for a climax where it's dark and a little heartbreaking because that's sort of Reitman's bread and butter. Jason Reitman's bread and butter, rather. So maybe he'll throw a little bit of that in there. And
Can we just
I'm interested to see that.
Sorry, I feel like we're starting a whole other conversation where we're trying to wrap it up. Never mind. Get glasses. It's 50% off.
Get 50% off
at www.neopets.com.
Busting makes me feel good. Churchofscientology.com. You know, Neopets and Scientology were in cahoots, right?
No.
Oh, we'll talk about this off the air.
Yeah.
Shafer, thanks for coming on today, dude. This is a hell of a podcast.
What a last sentence.
What
Absolutely.
an episode.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Light.
This, where can the listeners find you on the internet if they want to track you down and say, how dare you?
My social media is just at Shafer Ward, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm right now, I'm pretty bad at keeping it up, but as far as like show dates and stuff, but I'll be trying to be more religious once I get back from Fringe. And hopefully I'll have a website too in the next year.
Love a website. Get one of those.
Shaferward.com. I anticipate that's what it will be.
You can go. You can get 10% off at Squarespace with the code Shaferward.com.
Yeah.
At checkout. You can find me at DietJ on Twitter and Instagram. JLikeComedy.com for show dates. And if you're in LA, I'm recording my album on August 31st at the Pack Theater, 7:30 p.m. reserve a ticket. Links in the show notes, or just show up because it'll be there may be some seats available at the door. Who knows? It's looking pretty hot. It's looking pretty hot
For
and fast,
J-Light
guys.
comedy? No way.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. It's a blockbusting kind of crowd, breaking all the stereotypes I've developed for myself here at Edinburgh. Where
There's something strange.
in Hollywood.
Oh, that's not your outro music. No, don't do it. You're gonna get fucking sued.
No, don't worry. It's the music for the whole podcast.
Oh, perfect.
I love a good interpolation. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.